Hello there. This is an astrological forecast for Cancer for 2012. And this also applies if you have a Cancer ascendant. Well, it is 2012, the year that's been much documented and talked about. And yes, there are huge things happening astrologically in the stars during this year. We've got 3 big planets changing sign, Neptune, Jupiter and Saturn all changing sign during this year. And as well, we've got Mars and Venus going retrograde during the year. So there's going to be a lot of changes. And for you Cancerians, let me start out first where Mars appears in your chart. Mars is going to be retrograde in your 3rd house from January 4th, until April the 14th. Now, Mars always slows down the energies of that particular house while it's retrograde. So for you, it's the house of negotiation, it's the house of selling, it's the house of communications, it's the house of brothers and sisters, it's the house of your environment, your neighborhood, your neighbors, your community, the people around you. So you may find that the pace of all your social life will slow down. For those of you that do much of a social life, not all Cancerians do much social life anyway, but you may find it slows down. It's not going to be the best time for negotiating, but it will be a good time for renegotiating an existing contract, because whatever you've already set into motion can complete during the retrograde. So I would say to you, during the retrograde, don't sign very important sales agreements, lease agreements. Great time for actually doing any kind of writing, reading, writing, publishing, teaching. Wonderful time, an excellent time for doing any research into maybe some products or something, services that you would like to sell or share or network. Communications wise, there could be a few challenges during this time. You may have to force yourself to really look at how well do you listen? Do you feel that you're misheard or misunderstood? And really examine your relationships during the retrograde and see what maybe needs to change. And then when it goes direct, then take the actions and make the changes after it goes direct on April 14th. On February the 4th, we've got Neptune changing sign finally, going into Pisces until 2025. So this is in your 9th house, and this is certainly going to stimulate for you an interest in higher consciousness. Why are we here? What is life about? You might get more interested in reincarnation, in karma, in the laws of the universe, in manifestation as well. And you could well manifest during this time a dream trip, a trip to somewhere or places in the world where you'd absolutely really love to go, and you could manifest it during this transit. You're going to be exposed to all kinds of new ideas around you, and you'll probably get in touch with more with that Neptune transit as to how we're all connected. This feeling of that we're not separate, we are really interconnected, but you'll have a greater and deeper understanding of it as Neptune transits this 9th house for you after February the 4th. May the 15th till June the 27th, we've got Venus going retrograde, and it's in your 12th house. Tendency sometimes with Venus in the 12th is to feel a bit unloved and unappreciated, as though people aren't taking enough notice of you. It could be a wonderful time for a reconciliation in a relationship. If there's been issues, you could well have a coming together during this time. It's also not the best time for going out buying expensive things, but if you do buy anything during this Venus retrograde, make sure you keep all the receipts and the guarantees and all the documentation, just in case you have to return it and it isn't what you thought it was after Venus goes direct on June 27th. It's not the best time for investing or starting a new financial activity, but it is a good time for sorting out any financial situations that need to be sorted as well. For you, I wouldn't be at all surprised if somebody, a loved one from the past, comes back into your life during that time when Venus is retrograde. First 6 months of the year, we've got Jupiter in your 11th house, so that is widening your network of people, maybe joining a new organisation, connecting up with more friends. That would be a good thing to do during this Jupiter transit. Then after June the 12th, Jupiter changes sign and goes into Gemini from June the 12th of 2012 until June of 2013. And of course, then in June of 2013, Jupiter comes into your sign. It's the planet of good fortune and luck. So it'll be the following year for you Cancers, but not too far off now. So you're in a preparation time. It's almost like being in a holding pattern. It's going to be a wonderful time for any kind of study of metaphysics, of astrology, of developing your psychic abilities, your intuitive abilities, for connecting up to anything that teaches you more about your spirituality, your meaning of why you're here, what you want to achieve. It'll be more background stuff, but Cancers, you don't mind the background stuff, but it'll be certainly an expansion of your subconscious going on during this Jupiter transit in the last 6 months of this year. We've got Saturn, as you've known, Saturn in the 4th house of home, been there already for nearly a couple of years. It's there until October the 5th of this year. So many of you are having changes in the home area and needing to move. Could well be a move for you. If not that, then at least renovations or repairs coming up in your existing home, or maybe having to live somewhere smaller, live somewhere where you're not quite feeling as though you've got quite enough space, but you're just having to make do. But nonetheless, it's still a good time for putting in new structures as far as the kind of home environment that you'd like to have for yourself. After October the 5th, Saturn changes sign, where it goes into your 5th house until October of 2015. And this is going to be good for new business. If you want to start a new business and you want to make maybe something that's been a hobby into an actual business, something you've enjoyed doing. I had a client once who loved doing photography, and when Saturn came into that house, she actually learned it, studied it, and made a really successful career of it. So potential for making a good career for yourself. Children can be more of a responsibility during this Saturn transit, but can also bring a child into your life. I would say to you not to do any gambling once Saturn makes it into your 5th house after October the 5th. But you are going to be more disciplined, and you'll be able to be more with your creativity, and you'll be able to make it more real. So those are the good parts of it. There is a possibility as well that somebody older could come into your life, and you could start up a romance with them. So much happening this year, Cancerians. I would say that it's going to be a mixture of learning to slow down a little bit and really listen to people during January to April while that Mars is retrograde. Making the most of this wonderful boost for your creativity and possibly having a very successful business after October time. And the Neptune transit coming into that 9th, which will enable you really to move to that higher consciousness level. So much about 2012 is about this higher consciousness, humanity moving on to a new and higher level. And it really only will be those who are ready for that vibration that will be able to feel it and be on it. So really make best use of that Neptune transit in your 9th. It will help you to prepare for these changes ahead. So I wish you a great year. And for those of you who'd like to know about your personal chart, what you can do best to make the best use of the energies of 2012, maybe you'd like to have a reading, or maybe ask a question for $25 that I'll answer in an email of up to 150 words. Whatever happens, I'd be delighted to hear from you. Thank you very much for listening. Bye for now.